So for just one particular patient, you would have so many other nurses with different specialties coming in. You see somebody with a pink colored hair matching with their pink colored uniform, and nobody cares. But even though they say it's not allowed, it's not really their priority. Their priority is the care of the patient. So you will see somebody with the hair going all the way down to the waist, nobody cares. So hopefully you would take something positive from this, and that would at least motivate you to go ahead with every plan that you have in order to migrate to the UK to fulfill your career and your future dreams. Guys, you're welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So my name is Dinah. If you're seeing me for the first time, I do videos related to you migrating from overseas to the UK, either as a nurse, as a care worker. I also do basic lifestyle videos in general. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about nursing in UK. So I've been in the UK working for the NHS for a while. I migrated from overseas, obviously, and I've been through the system. I've been through a lot. I've been to several other hospitals. I've studied the system. I've passed through the system, and there are so many things that makes me happy. And when I look back, I don't regret moving to the UK at all. So that is what I'm going to be sharing with you. So if you are thinking of taking that bold step to further your career, migrating to the UK to work as a nurse, you would want to pay attention to this video, because I'm just going to share with you some of the wonderful things that I have actually loved about working in the UK as a nurse. And so obviously, coming to the UK from overseas, everything is completely different. The system is different. So I've learned quite a lot since I came to the UK, and I've taken so much positive things from this, although it has its own challenges, but there are quite a lot of positive things that makes me really enjoy working as a nurse here in the UK. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the career opportunities. So in UK, there are so many specialties in nursing that even if you don't like working in the bedside, there are still so many avenues you could branch into, or so many specialties you could go into. Where I was trained back home, we don't have that many specialties. So if you don't really like the bedside, or you don't like where you are kind of stuck. You don't have so many options. But here in the UK, for one particular ward, you will see so many nurses coming in with different uniforms, and they all have their own specialties. So let me use myself as an example. The first ward I worked in when I migrated to the UK was a medical gastro ward. So everything that has to do with the gastrointestinal organs, we had to deal with it. In my ward, because we had to deal with anything that has to do with gastro, we had stoma nurses. I never knew there was anything called stoma nurse. I believe if you're a nurse, you know what a stoma is. So people who have stoma bags and all that, I hope you know what it all means. So there are stoma nurses. We also have IBD nurses, irritable bowel syndrome nurses. So if you're in that gastro ward, you will see so many people coming in with different specialties, which is still related to the gastrointestinal department. Apart from that, we've got palliative nurses. If somebody is nearing their end of life, they have palliative care nurses who will come in and do their part, So for just one particular patient, you would have so many other nurses with different specialties coming in. So if you find yourself not liking the bedside, even in that gastro ward, you have so many options to branch into. And one good thing is, if you want to move from one place to the other, you just have to search online. So if you kind of develop interest in that area, what you can just do is you just start looking for job in that particular area that you are interested in. And then, so once you see any job in the area that you've developed interest in, you just apply. And if you are lucky, they take you, and then you get that specialty nurse. In the renal ward, they also have renal nurses. They've got orthopedic nurses. They've got oncology nurses. They've got pediatric nurses. So they've got so many specialties that if you are not interested in the bedside, you have that option of branching into. So I'm going to do another video on the other non-bedside nursing specialties that you can branch into, or the non-bedside nursing jobs here in the UK that you can consider if you don't like bedside nursing. So that is one thing I like so much. You are not stuck at one place. There are so many options for you. Another good thing I like about working in the UK as a nurse is their discharge system. So before somebody is discharged from the hospital, they always make sure that there is like a care package, a care plan in place for the person before they go home. So if somebody comes to the ward and they realize that the condition has deteriorated, so he might not be able to be on her own at home, they make sure they arrange for carers to go into their house to be looking after them. If they realize that they need physiotherapy, they will make sure that there is a community physiotherapist arranged to go and then do exercises with the patient until they are fit to be able to do things on their own. And they will even order equipment for the equipment to be delivered to your house even before you are discharged. There is also a discharge nurse. They've got discharge nurses who would also liaise with the social workers to make sure that everything is set before you even go home. Or if for some reasons they realize you cannot go home and you need to be in a nursing home, they make sure the social services come in, they arrange for whatever funding is needed for you to go to a nursing home, so that like you are properly looked after even though you are outside the hospital. So you are not left to go on your own, not knowing how you're going to survive and all that, because most people have realized here their families live so far away from them. You will find an 80-year-old woman coming to the hospital and you realize they live on their own, they do their shopping, they do their cooking all by themselves. But this is not something you find back home, because for somebody of that age, definitely their children will be grown-ups looking after them. So the system over here is so different. So they know most people live on their own. So if they realize you are not likely to go back to your old state again, they will make sure there's somebody who will be coming home to look after you. And that is so nice, knowing very well that somebody is thinking of you, you know, even whilst you are home. So that's really nice. So it's like the patients are not just discharged, you know, without knowing what's going to happen to them. So that's one good thing I really love. In some places where we came from, once you are discharged, everything is up to you and your family, whether they can take care of you or not. It's up to you guys. But here it's not like that. Everybody is taken care of. Even if you don't have the finances, they will make sure there are social services who will come in and sort out funding for you to be looked after very well, even when you are discharged. Another good thing is their annual leave. So where I was trained, you know, every year you have like 2 months annual leave. I can't remember exactly how many months you're entitled to. Most often where I was working, you are forced to take the whole, either 1 whole month or 2 months, and then if you need a break at any point during the year, it becomes a problem. But here the annual leave is said that it's 7 weeks in the whole year. I think as your band goes up, you have a lot of days annual leave. So with that 7 weeks, you can take a week annual leave, you can take 2 weeks, and even if you have to take like 3 or 4 weeks to travel to your home country, you are allowed. You just have to like write a letter to your manager just to explain why you need to travel. And most of the time, they are always happy for you to go, knowing very well that we live overseas and definitely we need more time to spend with their family. So I like the fact that the annual leave is spread across the whole year, so that they want you to have a break at least. After every quarter, they need you to take some annual leave, and they want you to look after yourself, look after your well-being, and not work throughout. It's spread across throughout the whole year, so at least you can have some rest in between until the year ends. So, you know, in this country, it's like nobody cares about anybody. Nobody cares about like how you dressed up to work. Although you should dress modestly as a nurse, but then sometimes you see people with piercings in their nose, in their ears. Nobody cares about how you present yourself to work. The most important thing is you are wearing the appropriate uniform. But where I come from, if you are not wearing your belt, you are in trouble. If your hair is down here, you are in trouble. But here, you will see a nurse. But even though they say it's not allowed, it's not really their priority. Their priority is the care of the patient. So you will see somebody with the hair going all the way down to the waist. Nobody cares. You see somebody with the pink colored hair matching with their pink colored uniform, and nobody cares. You will see somebody with tattoos all over from this side to this side. Nobody cares. The most important thing is you are doing your job, and that's what matters. Where I come from, they think of your appearance as a nurse even more than the work you are going to do, which I think is a bit wrong. Although as a nurse you have to dress modestly, but here what I have observed is not their priority. Otherwise people would not be having like tattoos all over their bodies, piercings, multicolored hairs and all that. You know, where I come from, you dare not put a earring in your nose or have piercings all over your ears and show up to work. You will not even, the next minute your matron will be calling you in her office. But here nobody really cares. So you kind of feel free in the working environment and you work happily. So another thing I like is their working hours or their shift patterns. So when I was trained in Ghana, we do like short hours. So you can work, if you are working a morning shift, you can work from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. And then the night shift obviously from 8 o'clock to the following morning, 8 o'clock. So because those shifts back home is like short, so you end up working 4 days and then you get a day off, you work another 3 days, so it's all mixed up. So the working hours here in UK is that you do 3 long days every week, and then on the 4th week you do 4 long days. So I mean, just to make up for the number of hours you're supposed to do in a month. So if you do 3 long days in one particular week, it means you've got 4 long days all to yourself, and during these 4 days you can have your time to yourself, your family, you can go out, you can chill, you can also do an extra shift if you want. So that is one thing I really like. So you don't end up working like 4 days or 3 days continuous. So at least it gives you more days off within the week for yourself. No, there's nothing like having that cordial relationship with your bosses, with your matrons, with your managers, with your nurse in charges and all that. Where I was trained, you know, sometimes when you see your matron, you are kind of running away because you are scared of them talking about the fact that you are not wearing your apron, your hair is touching your collar. You know, it's like some kind of panic attack whenever you see your matrons or your managers. But here, if your manager says something that you are not happy, there and then you can tell them that I'm not happy with this. If they tell you to do something that you don't want to do or you don't feel confident doing, you can just tell them right there, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. If they tell you to do something, you feel like you are busy, you've got a lot on your hand, you can just tell them politely, sorry, I'm busy at the moment, I've got this and that to do, I can't do it. But where I come from, you dare not challenge your manager or your matron, you know, when they ask you to do something. Even when you can't, you are forced to do it. But here, it's like you have a voice, you have a say. And so you are not really scared, you are free to open up and speak up when there's something really bothering you. You know, most hospitals where I was trained in Ghana, we do our documentation on paper, we do medication on paper, but here most hospitals do everything on computer. So if you're not really good at computers, you might struggle a little bit, but if you are good with computers, you are good to go. You will definitely enjoy it. So doing the medication and recording everything on computer, it helps to reduce medication error. And you cannot even forge any signature because as you log in, it's your name, your password and everything that will show. So you cannot lie about anything. So there is always a little or no medication error. And that really helps. Also, apart from you doing your medication and your nursing documentation on computer, you can also make a referral. So if, for instance, you have a diabetic patient who needs a referral to a diabetic nurse, you know, I mentioned earlier on that they've got different specialties. So they've got diabetic nurse specialists. So if you happen to find a patient on the ward who needs some adjustments in either their insulin, their medication and all that, the consultant will ask you to make a referral to the diabetic nurse. So what you can do is you just go on the system, you go on their referral, you type the name of the patient, their hospital number, and then you go on the diabetic nurse referral form, you type in the reason why the patient needs to be seen by the diabetic nurse. The next minute, you know, the diabetic nurse is there to see them. So it makes the work, go on so smoothly. You kind of enjoy it. Also, for instance, if a patient is going home and the patient needs, maybe the patient is diabetic, obviously they've got a wound that needs to be dressed whilst they go home, you definitely make a district nurse referral. So the district nurse or community nurses, they are the ones who go home to look after patients who have catheter, to dress patients' wound. So you make that district nurse referral and you can do that on your system. So it goes to the community nursing team. So they also make arrangement for nurses to go and see the patient home to ensure that their blood sugar is being checked, is within normal. They also make sure they give their insulin, they dress their wound. So it's like everything is systematic. So you kind of enjoy the work. So another example is if you are doing your medication online and you realize, oh, this patient's medication is running out, they need more tablet, what you can do is you just go on the system, type the patient name. You don't need to run to the pharmacy chasing pharmacists back and forth for patient tablets. No, you just go on the system, you type the patient name, the tablets, the strength, and like how many course you want. And once it's ready, you can see it in your ward on the computer that the tablet is ready for collection. Imagine this. So you just send a porter, you just pick a phone, ring the porters to go and pick up the medication from the pharmacy, and then it's there. Sometimes you don't even need to do anything at all. Once the tablet is ready, the pharmacists themselves will send the medication to the ward, and the patient's name will be clearly written on it. So you just pick it up and then you give it to your patient, or you just keep it in their locker. So it makes the work so nice. You enjoy working, it's so smooth. You don't really, sometimes I wish we had some of these systems back home. So another example is if the patient needs blood sample to be taken, you just order it online, you print a label, you pick up your sample bottles, and then you just take up the sample, you just put it in something, and by the time you realize the blood sample is gone up and then it gets to the lab. However it gets to the lab, nobody knows. So another thing is you could also make that request, and then the phlebotomist will come to the lab, and the phlebotomist will come to the ward and take the sample. So everything is so smooth. It's you kind of enjoy working. If you need to refer the patient to a psychologist, you just do the referral on the computer, and the next minute the psychologist is already on the ward. So everything is so beautiful, so nice. You will really enjoy working it. And sometimes you wish that, oh my god, you wish you had such systems back home to make work so sweet, so smooth, because some of us really love this nursing, and having such systems in place make it so easy for us to do and enjoy the work. So another good thing is there is also opportunities for you to move forward career wise. Where I was trained, you start off as a staff nurse, and then you have to wait for 3 years to be promoted to a senior staff nurse. You have to wait for another 3 years to be promoted to a nursing officer, senior nursing officer, and all that. So by the time you get to the top, you would have spent several years to get to either principal nursing officer or wherever you have to get to. But here, one thing I realize is, if you really play your cards well, if you really create your rapport well, if you are hardworking, you can move from a band 5 to a band 6 within 1 year. The next year, I tell you can move to a band 6. The reason why I'm saying is, I've been in this country for less than 3 years and I'm already a band 6. So I know what I'm talking about. If you play your cards well, if you relate with the managers, if you relate with staff, patients very well, definitely whatever you are doing, people will be watching. And when opportunities come up, they themselves will prompt you to apply because they know you, and you can easily move from a band 5 to a band 6, irrespective of the fact that you are from overseas. There are people who are from overseas who are in top positions here in this country. So I have experienced it, and I know that you can actually get yourself promoted if you really do put yourself out there. So when somebody is asked to go and do electrocardiogram, which is usually called ECG or EKG as they say it in US. In Ghana, where I was trained, ECG is more like you're going to see a consultant or something to have some special procedure performed. But here, ECG is like the simplest procedures you can ever find anywhere. Every ward have an ECG machine. The hospital I used to work in, there was just one ECG machine. There was just one ECG machine, and it looks like there was only one person trained to do ECG. So imagine if a patient is experiencing like some serious cardiac condition that needs ECG, that had to be monitored immediately. Where do you go to get ECG done? But here in UK, ECG machine is on the ward, and even healthcare assistants know how to do ECG. But where I come from, you have to be specially trained. Like, is there a radiologist? I don't know, but the hospital I was working was just one person who knew how to do it. And in some hospitals, the doctor will have to write that ECG prescription on a paper for you to go to another place, a private place, to have that common ECG done. But here, ECG is nothing. It's just like you giving paracetamol, honestly. And I've been doing so much to the extent that when I look at an ECG, although I cannot interpret it as a doctor would, but if I see an abnormal ECG, I can easily tell. And that's because the ECG machine is there 24/7. You can do it anytime. Whenever a patient falls, you know, most of the patients are elderly. If any of them falls, there is a protocol. You have to do an ECG just to be sure that they are okay and all that. If I'm in charge, I'll just assign a healthcare assistant to do the ECG. So you would just ask yourself, how can a healthcare assistant do ECG? That is what they do. They are trained to do ECG, and it will beat your imagination, because even back home where I come from, the nurse who's at the topmost top cannot do ECG because they are not trained. It's not something that's part of what we are trained to do. So I don't blame them. But here they make it available on the ward. They make it available on every ward. So there's nothing like you running around or transporting the patient somewhere just to have a common ECG done. So I don't think I've exhausted all of it, but then at least no matter what, there is still a positive and a good side coming to the UK as a nurse. So I hope this will actually enlighten you on what to expect, you know, at least to motivate you to pursue that dream, because I bet you will not regret it. So I'll end this video by saying that if you found value from this video, if you've enjoyed it, just like, share, and comment, and please don't forget to subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye bye.